Gender. That's like an easy thing to understand, right? A baby's born, a doctor looks between their legs, they check what, one of two boxes, female or male, and then we raise them in that gender role. I'm here to tell you that's all wrong. My name is Delia Danae Rawdon, and I'm an out and visible transgender woman. I spent most of my life locked in an imaginary cage, sheltered behind a limited gender system that didn't allow me to reach my full potential. But then I broke free. You know, I'm here to give you some key information that's going to allow you to open that as well. And first thing you need to know is that gender, it's not a binary system at all. If anything, it's more like a bridge. I want everyone here to imagine themselves in relation to this bridge. You can close your eyes, you could tell your neighbors, or keep it to yourself, however you want to do it. So let's say on one side of the bridge is extreme femininity, and the opposite side is extreme masculinity. Now, most of us are going to fall somewhere on that bridge, but some of us might be on both sides of the bridge at the same time, or maybe right smack dab in the middle. Heck, some people might be flying above the bridge or maybe swimming next to it because they're all genders, or maybe no gender at all, or maybe even something completely different. Now me, if I had to say where I was at on the gender bridge today, I'm definitely on the feminine side, but I'm a little closer to the middle. And that's okay. What's even weirder is sometimes gender is like a wave, and it'll push you far one direction. It'll slowly bring you back in another. Now, I was born in Ohio. Ohio is one of 2 states in the United States that doesn't allow you to amend your birth certificates. So my Social Security card, my ID, my passport, they all recognize my legal name and gender, but my birth certificate doesn't. Right now, Lambda Legal and the ACLU are fighting this in the courts, and one day, my birth certificate is going to recognize, me. Now, as I move around and I travel and I talk to people, you hear these things, and one thing I hear a lot, is transgenderness. What's that about? It's like a fad, There was no transgenders when I was a kid. Well, I'm here to tell you something completely different, and this is the reason. It's because trans history and LGBT history has basically been washed out of modern history in general, and it's not taught in schools. So I'm going to give you just a brief history lesson. So we just celebrated the 50th anniversary of Pride. Thank you. And what that commemorates the Stonewall riots that happened in 1969 in Greenwich Village in New York. LGBT people, including transgender people of color, kept congregating there, and the police kept raiding the place because they didn't want them to gather. And they would arrest people, including the people that didn't dress as the gender they thought they should have. So the patrons fought back, and then they started to collaborate locally and nationally, and they started a movement. Now the thing is, people think that was the first time that happened. That's far from the truth. 3 years prior, right here in San Francisco, in the Tenderloin district, there was a place called the Compton Cafeteria. Now, transgender people met there in quantities, and they just to speak and enjoy themselves and to feel free. And again, they kept getting all arrested for just being them true selves. But they fought back as well. Didn't get the same amount of media attention. We could go back decades prior. There was this guy named Dr. Magnus Hirschfeld who in 1919 opened up the Institute for Sexual Science in Germany. There he employed and studied tons of transgender people, created a library about it. He fought for their rights locally and nationally. But we all know how this story goes. See, the Nazis took over. And in the 30s, they burned the place to the ground, destroying all of his research and killing most people inside. My point is this. Transgender people, we've always been here. We've always gathered together. We've always helped each other. We've always helped each other come out. We've always mourned the loss of those taken from us from violent crimes. And I'll tell you what, we are so tired of being pushed around, and we are not going away. We will not be erased. So when I came out to my parents, I was 4, just this little wee thing, little 4-year-old. And I didn't have any verbiage. I didn't have any words to describe what or who I was, but I can tell you that there was nothing in the media, no terms of triangulament to figure out where I was or who I was. But by this time, I had already collected a bunch of my sister's old hand-me-downs, and I'd wear them in my room. And it was no big secret. My family knew. It was no big secret. But one day, my sisters went out, and I kind of told my parents. I was like, look, I don't know how to tell you this, but I'm a girl. I want to be raised as a girl. I want to wear girls' clothes. I'm just a girl, and I don't know how else to explain it, but that's just what and who I am. My dad looks at me all sternly and says, I don't care what you wear around this house, but if you go out like that, you're liable to get laughed at or beat up. I was 4. That should have scared me, but it filled my heart with joy. I didn't realize till years later that what my dad had done is he created a safe space for me. And it's because of this, I need to ask each and every one of you, please create safe spaces for your loved ones. Create spaces where people can be themselves without fear or persecution. They could just be unapologetically themselves in your house, your homes. Invite your friends and family to be part of that. The world, it can be a cruel place, and every person on this planet deserves a place to stretch out, in their own skin. So, high school comes about, and I'm boiling pressure, and I have to explode. I'm wearing a dress to school today, so here we go. And it was met exactly how you would anticipate in the 90s. I know that aged me. That's a whole other story. But so I wear this dress to school, and a lot of people laugh at me, and I did get in fights, but the faculty was alerted, and I had to speak to certain people in the faculty. And they didn't expel me, they didn't send me home, but it was an issue. And my point of this is that we live in a society right now that's completely different than that. In America, at least, most every school system has plans in place for transgender students to be themselves, to grow up to be the person they were supposed to be, not the person society thinks they should be. The thing is, it's different in every place. So you have to, city and state, look up what options you have for you and go in with knowledge. And kids, I'll tell you out there, there's never been an important person in history that blended in, so don't be afraid to stand up and stand out. So, you go through school and you make it through that, then what? You have to go to work. Well, there's been a lot of studies that I've read that says that if you're able to bring your whole self to work, you're more productive, you're more happy, and you're liable to stay there longer, which is a good investment for a company. Now, this kind of hits me home, honestly, because my wife, I've been with my wife for 21 years. We have 3 amazing children, and my wife I love her to death. So, thank you. Yes, she's amazing. So she started a new job about 6 months ago. So she goes in, and she's wearing her ring, so they're instantly like, oh my goodness, tell me about your husband. Assumptions, So she dances around these topics, and she doesn't throw it on the table that she's married to a transgender woman, because not that she's ashamed of me, but she was afraid how she would be treated or if she would be able to have a job after that. She came out anyways, though, and she came out hard. And when she did, she was actually embraced by the company, and the company even gave her, asked her to help in diversity tasks. And since then, she's rose pride flags all around the country and all around the globe. She's running an initiative right now where she's going to hang transgender pride flags all over the planet on November 20th, which is Transgender Day of Remembrance. So what I'm trying to tell you is that workplace, they have protections in place. You can go to work and shed all those fears of, think about that. If you couldn't go to work and just say, hang up a picture of your spouse, or talk about what you did over the weekend, or go by your gender pronouns, or tell people the name that you just legally changed to, because you'd be afraid you'd get fired. Well, here's a little hack for you. The HRC puts out a corporate quality index. That's the Human Rights Coalition. And what that does is it helps point out the companies that are showing extreme diversity in LGBT. And there's 571 companies listed this year. 571. Are you about to come out at work but you're afraid you're going to get fired? Maybe you could find a job at one of these places. Are you one of the 14,000 people that just got kicked out of the services because you were living your true life? Maybe that's one of the companies you can work for, or maybe that's one of the companies you should be supporting, because I put my money into companies that support me, that don't actively push against me. So, you know, when people get pregnant, they do this thing that'll just be like, oh my goodness, you're pregnant, like what are you having? And then they'll be like, oh my goodness, like I don't care, I just want them to be happy and healthy. There you go. Be happy and be healthy. And you know what, parents? If you have happy and healthy children, support them and help guide them through this crazy world. And if you're a child, know that you can go to school and you can be yourself and you can grow into that amazing person you were always meant to be. And for those out there going to work, know that there are companies out there that will support you and hire you and give you not only a place of employment, but they could give you a purpose in life. Now, people change the color of their hair all the time, right? Just to feel better about themselves. People get breast implants, liposuction all the time just to get better, to feel better about themselves. People look at me and say what I've done is extreme, but I'll tell you what, I just did it to feel better about myself. I feel I radiate when I can be myself. And I want each and every one of you to do whatever it is you need to do to break out and to bring your whole self into the world. And together, let's shine.